Bases dropped on a new edition of Soccer Down here. It's February 6th. It is pouring down rain in the metro Atlanta area to the point that John's phone is losing its mind, and my dog Gwen put the brakes on and said, nope, not going outside. After getting outside and getting wet first, which was great. I would have liked to have had those brakes go on a little sooner. But anyway, we'll get Gwen outside at some point here, and we're only going to be with you for 90 minutes this morning because there are things happening at the Atlanta United Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground that I have to be there for, and John has to be there for. It is Atlanta United 2 Media Day. We're going to get a chance to talk to Stephen Glass, some of the new faces with the team. Also, going to get a chance to hear from Frank DeBoer ahead of the Birmingham match on Saturday. Brad Kazan is scheduled to speak as well. So, we'll be leaving you at about 10:30 if you're listening live. If you're listening later on, it's just going to be a little bit shorter edition than usual. We'll try to make up for it as best we can. We've pocketed a few bits of extra time over the last few weeks, so I think we're good for it. I hope.
Yeah, I think we're solid. I mean, breaking news, you go an extra 40 minutes. No, I think that we're good to go.
Yes, I think we'll be okay. We'll do our best. The big talk today is yesterday's kit launch all over the country, but specifically at the event in New York where all of the league's kits were unveiled. Reactions have been negative, shocking. It's American soccer. This is what we do. We're negative about everything. There's some that are kind of, there's some that I think are really good. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on the full release and everything around Atlanta United's gold kit. Seems to be received probably more positively than a lot of them. There's some that are just great in my mind. Minnesota, I think, killed it. I like what DC tried to do with the history element of it. They put a pretty good video together about, kind of where they were going with this. And then there's some that I just really don't know what they're trying to do. There's a great piece over at The Athletic. Pablo Maurer wrote it about how these things come together. And it came out yesterday, so if you have a subscription to The Athletic, go back and check it out if you missed it. Some talk with Adidas and how these things don't happen overnight. And it's different, club by club. Some clubs are very, very involved in the process. And I remember in 2016 when the initial five-stripe kit was unveiled, Ann Rodriguez and Darren Eales both talked about how much they were involved in getting that one done. And it took a lot of time, and it took a lot of conversation. And they didn't have quite the same window that most teams do. It's usually about a 2-year process. And Adidas drives it. They're making the things. This is what they do. And they also have certain themes that they're doing each year. They have certain, templates that are static, and there's definitely some consistency in the kits that just came out yesterday. You have, obviously, the shoulder stripe, which is part of the MLS 25th celebration. A lot of people have really been out of shape about that being on teams that are not original MLS teams. Like, it's on the Miami kit, it's on the Nashville kit. I mean, so it's a league celebration. I don't think it really matters. It's more about how you implement it. There's some that implement it really well, and there's some that don't. The collar design, I think the thicker band on the sleeve, those are things that are consistent, but you could work around it. And I thought this time Adidas was creative in some areas. The wing, I think it was hand-drawn on Minnesota's kit. That design was not generated anywhere, so it harkens back to the NASL kits that I believe it was a company called Inaria that made those for Minnesota United in the NASL 5-6 years ago. And it's very cool that they brought that back, and they did it in a way that, look, it's definitely not an Adidas template. They fit it onto an Adidas template. I I think the thing that stood out to me about Mauer's piece, that if you start to look through the kits over the years, especially the last few, you can tell which teams were very involved in the design process and which teams weren't, because it varies team to team. Some teams are very protective of their brand. Some teams, they'll take what they get, and they might offer little bits of advice here and there, but they're not going to dig deep into it. You run the risk of not getting something that really fits your brand when you do that. So that's what jumps out to me about this. There's some that are really good. There's some that aren't when one designer's doing the whole league. And look, Adidas is paying handsomely for that right. When one designer's doing it, you're going to have some hits and misses, and this year's no exception.
The 2 years, for me, that was one of the things that stuck out initially about all of the thought and the process that goes into it. I didn't know it went that far back when it came to the absolute development. And Maurer also goes into later on in the piece, if you don't like your kit, then, who do you sit there and you look at? And then he goes into that perspective as well. But yeah, if you are a subscriber, dig up the Maurer piece and take a look at it. And yeah, once again, I'm sitting here and looking at the kits and I'm drawing up my 5 that I like, and there's like 7 that I don't, and then there's some I sit there and I put it in the middle as a kind of an okay, and still trying to figure out what my opinion is on. And we have folks who have commented on them this morning.
Do you actually have 5 or 7 that you like? Because usually it's very negative out of you, John. Do you get 5 or 7 this time?
I got 5 that I liked, yeah.
Okay. That's a pretty good positivity number on the John Nelson scale.
All right. Well, and am I supposed to keep Atlanta or put them to the side, considering where we're based?
No, it depends on how you feel about it.
No, Atlanta was a positive. I'm just saying that since we're based here, did that one count?
Hey, people can judge how biased you are on it, but that's your call.
All right. So left-hand side, the ones that I liked: Atlanta, Minnesota, Sporting, because I like the double blue, even with the freckles in it. Portland, because I like how the gold and the green, especially on the sleeves, and then obviously Miami, because I'm a guy that likes darker kids. On the kind of I don't know scale, I was trying to figure out Houston, and I don't know if I like it or if I don't, because it's kind of busy and kind of makes your eyes hurt sometimes. But on the ones that I don't like, RSL, because I can't figure out what they're doing. Like we were talking about yesterday, it's kind of one of those things where you're going, okay, I'm looking for magic art. Cincinnati, because it's kind of 50-50 and weird looking. Orlando, because of the joke that we keep saying because of the pin exploding. I don't get that. Seattle looks entirely too busy with the swooshes and the different shades. FC Dallas, I wish they'd gone back to the hoops. The Revs, the white one is the one that kind of is there for me. I see the blue one. I'm liking the blue one a little more than the other one. And then Red Bulls, just because of the black and red, and it would be a broadcaster's nightmare. So that's the 5 on one side, the 7 on the other side, and the one that I'm still kind of sitting there and trying to figure out.
Well, look, I like the Atlanta one a lot, but it's still a broadcaster's nightmare. I mean, it's going to be a gold numbers on a white kit. I have to see it to see if it's going to be better than the peach. I got used to the peach, and I was able to pick the numbers out from further away. I mean, obviously, you see this team on a regular basis, so you get to where you don't even need to pick out numbers. But new faces come in, hairstyles change, things happen. You're looking for a reinforcement for a number. The peach popped a little bit for me once I got used to it. The gold, I don't know until I see it. So it's not ideal for a broadcaster. It's just not. No. I don't know what's better, the gold on white or the red on black. I don't know which will end up being better. We'll just have to see them. But you left Minnesota out on the positive side, and for me, that's the best one.
I said Atlanta. I said Atlanta, Minnesota, Sporting, Portland, Miami.
Okay, I think you.
Those were the ones that I had
out when you first went through it. So, It should be, and that's your call. But it's under for me. It's the number one for me.
Yeah, it is.
Because
no doubt.
It's unique. It's a cool look, and it has history to it too. Which you know me, I'm going to look for something that ties back into a club's heritage, and that does. And in the article with Maurer, you know, they talked about it. It was something they always wanted to do, but they wanted to do it at the right time and in the right way. So these are elements that go into it, you know. I mean, sometimes, and there was a lot of criticism, and Pablo was one, and many others were right there with him about the, you know, overwhelming number of white kits that came out in the last round. And there's different reasons for it. I mean, I think Atlanta's used the white kit as a way to make other colors pop, like the peach, like the gold. And those were there for specific reasons. You know, they didn't just do a white kit with, you know, black or red, you know, one of their other main colors. They did something different. Others just do a plain white kit because it's plain. Some do it because that's the branding they want. David Beckham, you know, is a Real Madrid guy. You know, doing an all-white kit with the pink accents, well, that's kind of obvious that he would like that look. And it is you know, it's become a joke, but that's a very classic look. You know, an all-white kit, when I've played in teams that wore an all-white kit, it's kind of cool. You feel a little refined, you know? It's a classic look, and you can put whatever cynical term you want on it, but it's not. It's a good look. It's what you do with it. And when everybody in the league is doing it, well, maybe it's not as classic. And that's the issue. I'd like to see teams get more creative with that. But if you do a white kit well, do a white kit well. I don't have a problem with it. I like what Atlanta did with the gold. And I like the branding they've put out around it. And that's always the bigger issue. If you just drop a kit and it means nothing, then it means nothing. If you drop a kit, there's a story behind it, there's something in your history with it, then you can make it work. And I think the peach kit sold really, really well for Adidas, for Atlanta United. I would expect the gold one to do the same. I like the gold one initially more than I like the peach one initially. I do, and maybe it's just because it's similar and I'm used to that style. I don't know, but I like the way it just works better straight out of the gate for me. So we'll see how it looks over time. Let's hear what people are thinking about all of the kit launch and everything. I wish Adidas and MLS had done more with it. They did this event in New York, but it wasn't really available for people to consume, which seemed like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah. Gary Marks loves the new kits, class for the Kings of the South. And then he went on to wish you a happy birthday. Belated.
Thanks. Yeah, it's the classy element of it. I mean, you take an all-white kit anyway, which has a classy element, and you add gold to it. It's kind of funny that Atlanta's going to end up looking more like Real Madrid with that white kit with gold than Miami and David Beckham's team with the white with pink. I do like the white with pink, and there is something that Beckham posted, and maybe they just use it occasionally. He posted a Lego figure in what appeared to be Miami colors and maybe a David Beckham-esque beard on it, and there are pink shorts on it. So if you do the white with pink shorts, that can work. That could work really well for Miami and give them that little bit of a break. Just like I've said, I'd love to see Atlanta occasionally drop in the black shorts with the white kit.
Yes. Hunter Jones is a fan of the new Kings kit, was a big fan of King Peach. So in the spirit of things, I'd like to design a third kit, have some ideas. But he also wanted to hear from other supporters and talk about themes that he'd want to see, and he might mock a few of them up.
Well, the third kit, it's interesting that that's mentioned because in Maurer's article, that looks like it could be coming back. Adidas did this for a while with a lot of teams, and a lot of them didn't sell. A lot of them didn't do well. So now, I would assume Atlanta would be one. I would assume LAFC would be one. I would assume Seattle, Portland potentially. Maybe a Toronto. I don't know where they are in terms of overall sales. I think they're pretty good. The Galaxy, obviously. I think those are the ones that jump to mind that you could see a third kit for. And it sounds like it's going to be based on sales and demand. So when you go primary kit, that is your look. Secondary kit, you can get a little playful with it, but it still is part of your look. Third kit, you can get crazy, and you can get fun with it, and you can get really different. And you could either pull from history, like we've seen some teams do, or you can go into something completely new and creative and introduce colors into your scheme and all kinds of elements to it. So no telling where that could go, but be on the lookout for it at some point. I don't know if it's this year or next year or what.
Andy Hollums says it was overall a really strong batch of new kits. His top 5. His number 5 is Philadelphia. Number 4 is Minnesota. Number 3 is NYCFC.
I do like
number
the
2
NYC kit, and that's one we haven't mentioned. I agree with that. It's a good call.
And then another one that we haven't mentioned yet, the Colorado kit, is his number 2.
It'd be lower down for me, but it's solid.
Portland is his number 1.
I do like the Portland one. I really do. That one was one immediately when I saw it. I liked the horizontal lines and the thin horizontal lines with it. It's a white kit, but it doesn't feel like a plain white kit. And I do feel like that Adidas this time around, maybe they heard some of the criticism, and maybe in that design process, they said, all right, we went fairly plain with the white kits in the last go round. If we're going to do some white kits, and look, a lot of teams want a secondary white kit, we need to do a little more to it. And you have gold, you have what Portland's done, you have what San Jose did, which plays off of the city of San Jose flag. You've seen some creativity with the white, which is good.
Then his bottom 5.
Okay.
Galaxy.
Yeah, and it's a disappointing thing that it's there. I just the silver, and I haven't seen an explanation for it. I haven't seen any, storyline behind it, but the brushstroke element of it, I think that's how it was described in Mauer's article. That's fine. Not doing a solid sash, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. It's the color, because it means nothing to the Galaxy. And it looks too much like a play off of LAFC. And I'm sorry, gold is the medal that winners take, and silver is the one that the second place team takes. So I wouldn't even open that door if I'm the LA Galaxy.
Good call.
I would have liked to have seen in a 25th anniversary year for the Galaxy, you have your white kit, you have your sash, take the original colors that the Galaxy used, and they were kind of out there. They were kind of all over the place. They did a secondary kit that played, a little bit off of that a few years ago. Take those colors and make the sash out of that. That would at least make sense. If you don't want to just do the navy sash like you've done a few times, take the original colors and do a paint stroke with that. That would have looked cool.
As I sit here and I try to look up the old Galaxy kits from
it's like
that year.
I think there's some shade of like a coral, and there's some shade of a teal of some sort, and there's a not quite orange, but it was interesting. You could have done something with that and played off of the history more. It just would have looked better than silver. I mean, I'm waiting to see LAFC people say, "Oh, we're gold, you're silver," ha 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 ha, because that's what I would do. It felt very bland for a team that has never felt bland. The Galaxy have never had a bland feel to them, and this one, just a disappointment.
The others on the bottom 5 list, Orlando was there.
Yeah, it's a miss for me. It just didn't come out maybe the way that they intended, maybe the thought behind it. I don't know. Doesn't do it.
San Jose is in the middle of his bottom 5.
I've come around on that because of the flag element. It's still not one of my favorites, but it gets out of the bottom 5 because there's at least a story behind it.
One I forgot to mention in the ones that I didn't like, his penultimate worst is Columbus.
Yeah, that's the one that to me is the most like the Seeing Eye pictures where you're looking for a sailboat in it. I feel like I'm Ethan Suplee and Mall Rats staring, looking for the sailboat in the mall all day.
And his last one is Houston. That's the one he did not like the most.
Houston might be in my bottom 5, and it's not even really a fair reason. It's because I loved their last black kit. It's one of my all-time favorites in the league, and this feels like such a turn from it. I would have kept it to that idea instead of going in a completely different direction with the wavy stuff and all that. It's not bad on its own. I don't like it. I think it's better as a warm-up kit, but it's just not what they had before. It feels like a big step back.
Ricky Ricardo with legitimate thought on the Galaxy kit, on the sash.
Mm-hmm.
Silver anniversary. Silver.
Yeah, but nobody else did that. Nobody else did anything about a silver anniversary, so if it was a league-wide kind of thing, okay. And they're going to have to really sell that. If that's it, if that's the idea, then they're going to have to really sell it, because otherwise I would still look at LA Galaxy, white and silver, LAFC, black and gold. You're trying too hard. That's the way I would look at it. They're going to have to really sell that silver element. I just don't think they can pull it off.
Thad Dooley. We had the King Peach kit. Now we have the Kings kit. Are we no longer the 5 stripes and now the Kings? Hashtag Thursday Thought.
It hasn't really caught on that way, but it's not a bad thing at all. Honestly, it gives you another nickname to work with, and that's always a good thing. So it just depends on how that catches, and it's actually an interesting thought. So I'll be curious to see if that becomes more of the branding going forward and more of the conversation, because I think what's happened here a lot of times, like you put these things out there. If I remember correctly, I think I was somewhat involved in this happening. The team didn't call themselves the 5 stripes initially. I think it was between kind of Doug and I around the same time starting to use it, just because you need something else to say.
Yeah.
You can only say Atlanta United so many times. You can say Atlanta, like you needed another thing, and that became something that I think both of us used right around the same time. I don't remember seeing him use it and saying, "Oh, that's good," or him seeing me use it and that was good. I think it was kind of on our own right around the same time, early in 2017, and then it became fairly standard nomenclature. So the platform is there if Kings is something that wants to be used, because I don't think anybody's really went down that road. You have Real Salt Lake and the royal element to it, but they've never been called Kings. I don't think anybody's really tried to go down that road. So it's there. It's there if it sticks and people start to use it and then it catches on. So maybe that was let's throw the fishing line out there and see what happens.
Alex Krupp with a legitimate question this morning. Having to deal
the
with
others
kids.
were not legitimate? Is that what you're saying?
This is internationally legitimate.
Okay.
Who had the better kit reveal? MLS 2020 or the Bundesliga in the 1970s? And he has a link to a video that Brian Sciaretta posted that is 45 seconds that looks like Dance Fever with soccer kits. And it is gold. It's amazing.
The Germans always make good stuff.
They do. The Germans always make good stuff, and that video is obscenely ridiculous. I just that one was better. Well, considering we didn't see this announcement, then yes, it was better. Was it better than the 1996 one? Or I think it came out in 1995. Yes, it was definitely better than that. It's pretty freaking good.
And let's see, Lieutenant Dave this morning. MLS kits. Portland's is cool, as is San Jose's. And while I'm a homer and like Atlanta United's King kit, it's a good thing y'all know the players, because trying to decipher gold numbers on white jerseys would drive most announcers crazy.
Yeah, that's the hard thing about it. Us announcers get left out of these discussions. We are not involved.
We
in
were
kit
not
design.
consulted.
No, numbering, we don't get any say in that. I do like the number font better. I think it's a little bit bigger. It's a little bit easier to pick out. I do like that. I didn't dislike the other one, but I like this one. So maybe that helps. Outlines on numbers are always good. And if, we could get a little black outline on that gold, that'd be pretty good. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm. John Nason says the authentic is priced too high. He loves the gold design, even with the shoulder stuff. He's not a big fan of the replicas when they have so much changed from the authentic. Hashtag Thursday thoughts.
Yeah, I do wish the replicas were closer to the authentic, although that is part of the price difference. And, yep, they've always gone up. I mean, I remember, feels like not that long ago, although I am getting old these days, maybe 10 years ago, it felt like where the replicas are priced now was where the authentics were priced, and the replicas were $10, $15 cheaper than that, and they were pretty similar. The difference seemed to be the stars on it. Sometimes we're going far back in the MLS days. I think you had a difference with the replicas didn't have sponsors on them, which felt kind of silly because the sponsors would probably like that exposure. It's kind of what they're paying for. But I don't know what you can do at the pricing, to be honest. That's just kind of where things are going these days. But I do like to see a lot of similarity between them. I think it worked out kind of funny this time, or with the striped kit last time, where I kind of like the replica with the solid back a little bit more than the block for the number and then the stripes continuing at the bottom. I like the solid back a little bit more.
And for me, I like, we talked about the iconic all whites when Atlanta United 2 broke those out with the red and black stripes down the sleeve a couple of times. I love that look.
Well, that was 2018, and that was Atlanta United 2 coming on board, kind of late in the process, and they had to take a secondary kit because Atlanta United was changing between the two. They went from the concrete to the peach, and they might not have been able to work that through to have a 2's kit in the peach. So they got something completely different that looked really good. I actually really did like it.
KFC, the consensus opinion in my household was that Portland was strong as usual. Mm-hmm. San Jose and Dallas also had some good colors.
San Jose gets mixed reactions. Yeah. Some really like it, some don't. That's what I'm learning today.
Yeah, I mean, the San Jose thing, when I understand the story behind it, I was like, okay, I get it now. It didn't really change my opinion. I was just kind of like, meh. But I understand where you're coming from now. And KFC also says Dallas also had some good colors.
I like Dallas.
I like Minnesota's.
I think they did well.
Yeah, I like Minnesota's, and my wife liked Toronto's.
Mm-hmm. I like Toronto.
My real hashtag Thursday Thoughts comment is, did y'all see the original 9 clubs got a little something extra?
Yes, I read that. What was it? I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head. Something on the inside of maybe the back end of the kit. Let me see if I can pull it real fast. There was a one little special element to it that wasn't as big as I thought it maybe should have been. I'll find it and we'll get into it. It was small and it should have been more. And they kind of messed up because they put San Jose in that, and San Jose is not the original San Jose Earthquakes. They left. They went to Houston and they became the Dynamo. This was an expansion team that started in 2008. So if you're really talking lineage, even though they saved the name, they saved the history, it's kind of not. So I don't know. I didn't like that part.
Eric Englert, hashtag Thursday Thoughts. With the possibility of limited third kits coming back next season, what's your Atlanta United third kit dream? I'd love a solid gold kit with white trim or a solid peach kit.
See, they talked about the solid gold kit, and I wonder if this was specifically around Atlanta. Could have been LAFC as well, in the Pablo Maurer article. And gold is not an easy one to do as a solid color. We've seen some around the world. I want to say Milan did a gold kit. I could be wrong. There's been a few, and honestly, my reaction's pretty much been mixed to them. It's hard to get the gold color with fabrics with the polyester element and make it actually look gold. And that was something they talked about in the Maurer article. I probably wouldn't go that way, especially with now that you've got a white with gold trim. I don't think you need a solid gold kit. I'd go completely off the board and do something completely different. And I don't know what that would be. I have no idea yet, but I would do something completely different. I don't know if there's something you can play off of a City of Atlanta flag to work with. I don't know if there's any other historical element. I mean, you could look at a Chiefs type of kit, and the only one that's really iconic would have been the 79 to 81 version. You could do something playing off of that with red and blue and white. It's got enough blue in it to where it's different enough from your five stripe kit. So I don't know. I think they would probably Phoenix. Go. I'm sorry, what?
Something in the Resurgence Phoenix color scheme or something like that.
Maybe.
If you want to go for third.
Maybe. I mean, I don't think there's an obvious one. A solid peach one, yeah, especially now that you've moved away from King Peach. I wouldn't have a problem with that. I think you could go completely off the board and do something really interesting. I don't think there's an obvious third kit idea out there. I think you could do some really interesting creative things with it.
Ricky Ricardo, if Miami would have made the Herons pink on both kits, it would have blown every other kit out of the water, in his opinion.
It might have been a little bit too much, but it could have looked good. I'm not definitely against it, but I actually like the Miami kits. I think they did a good job with it. The white with pink trim, it could have been better if it was pink with black trim. That's the one thing I would have went away from, but I do get it with Beckham and Real Madrid and the desire for white. I get it. And maybe it's a setup for next year or whenever they change out one of the kits to go to a pink kit. Maybe it's a setup. They wanted the black one to be the interesting hot one this time around. Who knows? Because that's part of it. Like if you just – it depends on what you want to be. You know, if you want to have one look and that's it and that's what you are, okay. Like the stripes. You're always going to have the stripes. You can change the size of the stripes. You can change the thickness of the stripes. You can add other elements to the stripes, but you're going to be stripes. Okay. Or are you just going to have colors and go crazy within those colors? Different clubs do it different ways. We do have a little bit before you get to that.
Go for it.
That.
I think I know what this is.
It's not a guessing game. Nashville SC opens the 300 level sections for their inaugural Major League Soccer match against Atlanta United. Announced today that due to high demand, the club has opened up the 300 level sections at Nissan Stadium for the club's inaugural match in Major League Soccer against Atlanta United on February 29th. Single game and group ticket options for the 300 level are now available for purchase by visiting NashvilleSC.com/tickets. The quote from Ian Ayre, Nashville SC CEO, surpassing the 30,000 tickets sold already represents the largest crowd in Nashville SC's short history in professional soccer. We want to keep the momentum going and show everyone here in Nashville and around the world that Nashville SC has arrived in the Major League with a historic attendance. It's the hottest ticket in town, and we are promising to put on a world-class show and a night to remember. Everyone should want to play their part in this historic night for Nashville. Everyone in. NashvilleSC.com/tickets might be getting hit very hard by people in the state of Georgia right around now, which,
yes.
Hey, it's going to be fun. There's been some maybe back of the napkin math going on over in the Atlanta United subreddit, and I think they're pretty much with the understanding that there's at least 2,000 Atlanta United people that are going to be there. There's at least 2,000 because of the away ticket allotment, plus others who have said where they've bought tickets and trying to figure things out. That number's going to go up. Mm-hmm. And if you were on the fence about it, well, now you might want to go to NashvilleSC.com/tickets. And if you were on the fence about it in Tennessee, about getting behind this from a Nashville perspective, get these tickets. And you want to show the city that this is a big deal, well, you want to show the mayor, who I would hope would be in the building, although with his king pettiness, maybe he won't be. I don't know. You want to show him this is a big deal? Well, this is a way to show that it's a big deal. And I think Atlanta is going to do their part in showing the mayor of Nashville that this is a big deal. There has been another update on that whole situation as well, and it's a little bit different element of an update, because we've talked about things passed through the Metro Council and the mayor has just not followed through on it. Well, there was a lawsuit before stuff passed through the council, or as it was passing, that said that it shouldn't have passed because it was against the Metro Charter, the Metro Council Charter. And a Nashville judge has ruled that lawsuit will go to trial. So that just complicates all of it, because then now the part that it's passed, this should happen, now maybe it shouldn't have passed, and you're back to square one. There's a lot of people trying to fight this stadium for a lot of different reasons in Nashville. And it's not the same as Miami, but it is becoming a political battle like Miami was. I think some people have tried to throw shade at the soccer club, and I don't think this is exactly their fault. There's a lot of things that have happened that were outside of their control. Now, I don't know the details of this part about, did this proposal break Metro Charter rules or charter or whatever. I don't know. I don't know where that stands. I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not well versed on this case. But this going to trial can't help a resolution happen quickly, I don't think. I don't know. I'm not in Nashville, but it feels strange that there is this battle about the fairgrounds, and I think this part revolves around, with these additions to the fairgrounds and some of the things that would have to do to make room for it, they wouldn't be able to actually have the Tennessee State Fair there. And look, I don't know the economics of it. I don't know if the State Fair is an economic driver anymore. I know it used to be. I don't know if it still is. I don't know if that's a better economic situation for the city of Nashville than a stadium that would not just have the soccer team, but have other events as well. And I don't know if the proposed expansion or refurbishment of the Speedway would have anything to do with that either. I don't know if they could do that without breaking Metro Charter. So there's a lot of elements that are not necessarily in a straight line here fighting against this. And I still feel like Nashville SC is not going anywhere. I think there's other solutions. But this has not been the easiest of launches for a soccer team, with all of these different political elements fighting it.
No, and when you have one group concerned about the employment and housing situation in and around the fairgrounds and the new facility, and John Ingram has addressed that as a part of his proposal. And then you have folks who are now looking at the state fair section of it all. And then you have the mayor who sits there and wants to talk about a particular parcel of land that was associated with the idea of the Nashville SC Stadium and the facility and the housing and mixed use and all that kind of stuff. You have all of these different elements that seem to be they're running in their own separate lane, and it's almost like a political whack-a-mole and now legal whack-a-mole, and trying to sit there and try to figure out, okay, we tackle this issue, then we tackle this issue and tackle this issue, but now they're all coming at you from.
And there goes John. It's
home warranty.
Yeah, anyway, it's frustrating that Nashville is in this situation. And I hope that they can deal with it and deal with it effectively. One way they can is to have a huge attendance in Game 1 and also have a huge attendance in Game 2 and continue to have big attendances. Look, Nissan Stadium could end up being a bigger picture in this, and MLS has changed a little bit over the years since Nashville was even accepted into the league. Maybe Nissan Stadium is far more palatable going forward, and maybe there's a partnership there with the Titans to do refurbishments to Nissan. There are other parts of town that I believe the mayor, before he became the mayor, was pushing for the team to explore rather than the fairgrounds. I've been to the fairgrounds. It's been a long time. There's an arena there that TNA Wrestling used to run out of, and I went to one of their last shows that they did there regularly. And I don't know how much of the fairgrounds has changed since then, but it wasn't exactly an economic driver at the time, and it wasn't exactly in pristine condition. So the whole idea of not doing anything to it, I don't really get it. But again, I'm not in Nashville, so these things are always complicated, and it seems like lately they've gotten even more and more complicated. So I hope they can get through it. Opening the 300 level is a smart PR move in my mind to draw a huge crowd and make it to where it's going to be hard to say that, we shouldn't do things for the soccer team because it's just the soccer team. Well, it's going to be a big deal. And as we've talked about here in Atlanta, being a big deal can change a lot of perceptions really quickly.
And the Tennessean actually came out with their own editorial late yesterday morning to encourage the mayor to honor the deal as it is currently written and approved and go ahead and start construction of the stadium.
It's a bad look. I mean,
yeah.
That's a huge problem because it's just a bad look to have something passed. Now, if there's a legal battle about should it have passed, that's different. That's a different issue altogether. But right now, it's passed, and the mayor is not following the council's proposal that was passed. That's a horrible look. The mayor's not the dictator. He has to follow what the city council is doing here, and this is where I feel like if he wanted to block it, he's not even doing it in the right way. If he wanted to block it to say, well, we have to wait to see where this lawsuit goes first, that would have been a much better argument in my mind because this lawsuit was already there. He didn't use that at all. Now, I'll bet you there's going to be a quick pivot to it, and that should be pointed out as incredibly disingenuous. But his whole thing was about the Speedway.
Yeah.
Like, that was the main point of his initial statement was, well, we've been talking to NASCAR, and, the Speedway would be pretty good. Just look at where MLS is and look at where NASCAR is and pick which one you want to roll with. I think you could probably figure out a way to do both. But if you're going to pick one or the other, you might want to get into 2020 before you start making 1990 decisions. But anyway, again, I am not in Nashville. I don't know all the details about this, but it really feels disingenuous on the mayor's part. But I would be willing to expect that at some point today, tomorrow, you get a statement made. It's like, well, we can't go forward with anything until this lawsuit goes to trial and this part's decided. I'll bet you that's the pivot.
I, like you, went to the fairgrounds a handful of years ago, And it was actually to see a friend race in one of the series, one of the regional series that housed itself at the fairgrounds. And the attendance that was there for that race, spotty at best, and I'm being kind in my assessment of it. So, really, at this point right now, and we've talked about how NASCAR is having problems across the series that they have, and where MLS is and the problems that they're not having currently. It would be commonsensical economically to sit there and go, okay, well, this one has folks who are attending and want to attend something where you want to try to refurbish something that, yes, has been a part of the fabric of the Southeast and of sporting culture and has grown, but it is on the decline. Why attach yourself to something that's declining and instead hitch your wagon to something that is proving that folks are interested, drawing folks regionally? This is Chamber of Commerce 101. Folks are coming, and they want to see Nashville SC. The difficulties in NASCAR should be, honestly, look at the empty seats on TV. That, to me, is the biggest thing in the largest series. That, surface issue, just watch television. That should tell you what's going on.
Yeah, that putting that argument in there the way the mayor did, I think he showed his hand, and it's not a good hand. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know how it gets worked out. There will be multiple lawsuits that will follow this up if things don't start moving forward quickly. And I don't know what the timeline is if this other lawsuit that was not brought forth at this time and had already been out there. I don't know what the timeline of that is and how it affects it, but it's complicated. So Nashville opening up the top level of Nissan Stadium is in direct response to selling 30,000 tickets already, but I think it's also in response to showing that this is a big deal and it should be treated as a big deal and not as a competitor to the secondary NASCAR circuits, which is mind-blowing that the mayor would put it in that conversation.
Mm-hmm. We have, and by the way, in its old capacity, just to let you know, it would take 2 sellouts at the fairgrounds to equal the current sales that have happened for Nashville SC and Atlanta United.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're trying to get the fairgrounds track to 30,000. I think that was one thing that I saw, and it doesn't get you even the NASCAR main series. So,
nope.
Good, yay.
Yay.
It is 2020. Come on, guys. Nashville is growing fast, and look, there's a lot of friction. There's people in Nashville who don't want it to grow and don't want it to grow fast, and they're going to fight it. And there's some people who are maybe with a bit of outdated thinking there making decisions. So I'm looking forward to the trip. I'm looking forward to Nashville being a good addition to Major League Soccer, and I think ultimately they will be. But there's some hiccups, and it's not going to be easy, and they've got some things they got to overcome.
Since we're in news and notes, do you want to do news and notes to finish the first hour? Or do you want me to keep going with kits because we got a lot of kit talk?
Let's just keep going. We're just rolling through. There's no first hour today. It's a 90-minute show, so we are blazing through it.
All right, Chris Ashley. And Chris has come in on multiple points. His first point, my favorite of all the kits released yesterday were the Impact kits. The gray kit, I'd wear a gray kit every single day, in all caps. So clean.
I like gray kits. Gray kits are good. They sometimes they can not look so good. That is definitely true. So the Impact kit, I am looking. Minnesota's kit is very gray, which I like.
Yes.
The Impact kit really didn't get a lot of play. It didn't get a lot of conversation about it. It is a much lighter shade of gray. It's got white pinstripes on it, which looks really, really good, and it's kind of, grayscale. So the logo is grayscale. The BMO logo is in a black. The 3 shoulder stripes are in a black. It's a really good look, and it's one that nobody really talked about in the lead up to it. So I'm digging it. That'd be probably, I think that'd be in my top 5.
Oh wow!
And now that I'm looking at them, so Minnesota's my favorite. Atlanta's in my top 5. Montreal's in my top 5. Who else gets into the top 5? Portland gets into the top 5, and that's a tough call because
NYC.
No, slow down. Don't make my decisions for me. This is my top 5, not your top 5. So
Colorado.
There's Toronto, there's Vancouver, there's New York City, there's Sporting, there's Miami, there's the LAFC one is good, but it's pretty plain. The DC one is good. The Dallas one is good. Those are all the ones that I like at this next grouping. I'm gonna go with the black and pink Miami. That gets into my top 5.
Okay.
I like the black and pink combination, and it's unique in the league, so I'm in.
Agree. Chris Hutchison, now Atlanta United has kits in colors that are acceptable to both Tech and Georgia fans.
Yeah, this is kind of funny. Like, I've seen Georgia Tech fans really all over the white and gold kit, and this is our kit. No, it's not. Just like the red and black kit wasn't Georgia's kit. If that's what matters, okay, I guess. But I like the white and gold kit, and I'm not like. You get some Georgia Tech fans who get really weird about wearing anything red and black, and then you get some Georgia fans who get weird about wearing anything gold, and I could care less. I went to the University of Georgia. I've been a Georgia fan since I knew what sports were, so that is a thing. I do not have the hatred for Georgia Tech that some Georgia fans do. I think maybe that's an old school thing, that it is very, very... very, very full of animosity on the Georgia side. Maybe that's an old school thing. I don't know. I never really had that too much. So part of it's probably living in Atlanta as well. I always loved Georgia Tech basketball. Mark Price was one of my favorite players as a kid. The Lethal Weapon 3 team I really liked. So, it's all good. Red and black and gold. We can all hang out, guys. It's okay. You can drop the college rivalries off to the side.
One of the first games I ever went to was Seton Hall and Georgia Tech at the old Alexander Memorial Coliseum. Brooks
You're not a fan of either one. You don't get to comment, John. You don't get to chime in on this. You're a Florida State guy. You can't come in and talk about Georgia and Georgia Tech and get into the rivalry of it. No. Not allowed.
Why do you have to remind me about my tease of a basketball team and my below-average football team?
Well, you don't get to chime in on the Georgia Tech stuff. Nope. You can chime in on the Florida State, and Miami stuff if you want to. But
fine. I hate anything that wears green or orange with the heat of 1,000 suns.
Yeah, good Lord. You're one of those guys. Okay. We've learned things today. I like it.
It's amazing what happens when you don't drink Mountain Dew anymore.
Seriously, you get all kinds of upset. I don't know. It just felt like a Panqueques moment.
I'd like some pancakes right now, honestly. Ricky Ricardo says it was very annoying that MLS didn't stream the actual jersey reveal event and just dropped them on the app. I know the kits leaked beforehand, but I was interested to see all the celebs rocking these. #Thursday Thoughts.
Yeah, I would have watched it. I mean, I think we're degenerate MLS followers at this point and would watch pretty much anything they'd put out. But yeah, I would have watched it. I would have liked to have seen it. You could have done a musical performance, and you could have had the celebs talking trash. Colin Hanks has been talking quite a bit of trash, hasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
What's up with this? I haven't completely followed all of it. He was modeling the LAFC kit, and I guess some old tweets were dragged out about him being happy about Galaxy things in 2012 and 2015, I think.
Yeah, he was mentioning Robbie Keane and supporting Galaxy and all this kind of stuff, and a dude clapped back at him, and he's like, nope, wearing the LAFC stuff for free.
Well, no, the dude clapped back at him and said that he got paid to do it. Let's be clear what the clapback was. And he said, no, those checks were cashed in 2012 and 2015. So he was implying that he was paid to do it then. That's the funny part about it. I don't know if that's true. I have no idea, but Colin Hanks is all in on some LAFC stuff.
A pity to fool has come in this morning.
Hold on. We might have a little bit of Colin Hanks audio. Give me 1 second. Let's see if I can pull this up, because he was ask some questions at the event. And this is, again, why we would have liked to have heard this. Would have been good. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I'm really excited that Chicharito's playing in the MLS. It's just a shame that he's not playing in Los
Oh,
Angeles.
wow.
Bam.
I'm excited that Chicharito's playing in MLS, but it's a shame he's not playing in Los Angeles. And he kind of had a little bit of a sneer on the face, too, going on with it. Wow.
Because they're playing in Carson.
Well, yes, but that's
just down the road.
Little petty, Colin.
Oh, I know. You know, hey, down the freeway, little LAFC, little needling, taking the finger, poking you in the ribs. A pity the fool has come in this morning. With the possible third kit, what he wished, King Peach had actually been black-white print on peach. You know, that would have been on fire.
Could have worked with that. I could have worked with that. I could have worked with a black kit with peach trim, too. That could have worked.
Yeah.
Flipped instead of white, it could have been black with peach. That could have worked.
Ooh. Any ideas, Emery Russell, any ideas why the jersey prices went up from $120 to $140? Not a huge deal to me. I'll still end up buying one. Just curious to hear our thoughts.
Because they can. I mean, honestly, it's there's no reasoning behind it that I know of. I don't know if the materials are more expensive. I don't know what it is. The demand is there, and jersey sales, I think, are going up league-wide. And I think the new teams coming in are driving it. So the demand is high, the price is going to go up. And it's just economics. I don't know of any other reasoning behind it, honestly.
Ricky Ricardo, Chris Ashley, et al. Are letting everybody know that the ATLian kit as the third kit should be the third kit. It would be dope.
And ATLian can be taken in a whole bunch of different ways. There were some initial designs that people put out there that used green in that.
Right.
You don't have to. You can. You don't have to. I think you can go anywhere you want with that. I don't have a problem with green. That'd be fine. We've learned today that I think John would have a problem with green. He gets upset about it. Maybe it's just when
that
it's paired with
electric Miami Hurricanes green paired with the orange.
Green. That's just green. It's paired with orange. You don't like the green and orange.
I don't like the green and orange, and I don't like the orange and blue.
Okay, well then if it's green and peach, John's not going to wear it. He's going to be very upset.
Now, if it's green and peach, I'll wear it because it's got Atlanta United on it. It has nothing to do with Miami. It's that logo.
You said earlier the colors, they bothered you.
They do. Because and the logo that's attached to them. And anybody that does the U with their hands and touches their thumbs together, I'm physically incapable of doing that move. I had a conversation with a kid.
How are you? I'm confused.
You know how like when folks who go to Miami,
I know the hand signal, but do you not want to do it, or do your hands not do that?
My hands do not do that, because if I ever try, I would try to do it when I was talking to a kid who was going to the University of Miami as a recruit. And strangely enough, as my hands tried to touch, the thumbs would try to make the crossbar on the U. It's like my thumbs started to repel each other. It was like positive and positive ions going at it. It couldn't happen. They physically stopped.
So you never played paper football, I guess. Couldn't do it because you made a U with your hands.
I did it with my index fingers, not with my thumbs. Longer uprights, longer crossbar.
That is incredibly petty and sad. But okay.
Hey, when I went to school back in the late 1700s, it was going up against the Blades brothers, Michael Irvin, Vinny Testaverde, Bernie Kosar, the Camo, Jimmy Johnson. Hated all of it.
I need to get like Uncle Luke bump music for us. That'd be great.
Don't just sing it, bring it.
Awesome.
Nathan Pugh. I have many different kit tops at home, my favorite being an all-blacks one, legit. So maybe I'm all spent out. I have one with a star I don't need anymore, so I'm not terribly bothered with how any of them look. Hashtag every party has a pooper. Hashtag Thursday Thoughts.
Yeah, pretty much. It's okay. I mean, look, I can't buy every kit that I like. That ain't happening. But I can still like them. And I think the white with gold, it's good. The peach one grew on me This one, when I first heard about it, I was like, I want to see how it comes out. I wasn't really positive or negative on it. I was like, I want to see it. And then you saw those initial leaks that proved to not be completely accurate, which I was a little mad on. Like, there was some leak of a sublimated stripe behind it, and it just looked kind of weird because it was a leak and it wasn't accurate. The way they've actually come out and look on people, I like it. I'm in. I like it. I like the era of gold that we have now entered into, and I'm all in with this.
Five Stripes fan mentions a team that we haven't mentioned yet this morning.
Okay.
Why is Chicago flying under the radar, and how did they get a pass on the 25th anniversary theme?
Oh, there's actually a reason why that happened. Because they changed their logo so late that they had already done kits with the 25th anniversary shoulder stripes, and then they changed it, so they had to scrap them, and they couldn't incorporate it into it. So they had to go with something else. Chicago jumped out of the group because of their logo rebrand that has really set the world on fire.
Yeah. I think folks would like to set those kits on fire with that new stalactite IFC logo.
The kit looks good. No, I completely.
I like the blue. I like the blue and the red. The crest is what bugs the ever-loving crap out of me.
Nah, if they hadn't had a good crest before, it's there. It's just the fact that it's not the Chicago Fire to me, and it doesn't effectively rebrand it to me. If this was their original logo, it's there. I don't care. But the fact that they got worse with the logo, that's what I care about. That's the problem. They didn't improve it. And I would have liked the navy and red as a secondary kit. They have been known as the men in red. That was the thing that they said. And now red's not their primary color because you didn't want to. I don't know. If they had done this, if they wanted to do this, then take the kit that they did, which is fine. It's got the diagonal, not pinstripes because they're not straight up and down. They're diagonal, but they're very thin. That's a good look. It's a good, basic, simple, quality look. Flip it, do the red with the navy. So navy, diagonal, thin stripes. Navy trim on the sleeves and on the collar and the shoulder stripes, not the EQT stripes. Cool. That would have looked better as their primary kit because that's what the Chicago Fire have been. This is just, it feels unnecessary. They didn't make it better. That's the problem.
Nope.
The logo itself, honestly, incorporating some yellow into it, incorporating more navy, okay, that's all fine. I don't have a problem. They just made the logo, which was a good one, worse for no discernible reason, and now they've changed their identity from being red to navy, again, for no discernible reason. Sometimes a rebrand isn't necessary. And I guess this was the compromise, because at one point they were talking about rebranding everything and changing the name, and a lot of people lost their minds about that. So they didn't do that, but they did this instead, which just moving to Soldier Field and putting a quality product on the field, that's the rebrand you need.
Yep.
But they changed the logo late, and that's why they are not part of the 25th anniversary stuff, which is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous that everybody else did it, and they're like, yeah, we're going to change our logo to something that's not as good as what we had before, and yeah, now you already did kits with the others, so no, we're not going to do it, and yeah, we'll just do our own thing and take a design off the rack, which works. It's a good design, but they're not part of the 25th anniversary of the league that every other team is, including teams that are playing their first year, so it's kind of silly. That should have been what stopped them from doing the logo. That's what MLS should have said. Look, first, this logo isn't any better. Second, you're changing your identity from being red. Third, we already got stuff in the pipeline. No. That would have been a good move by MLS. No.
Oh, done. No.
You got to wait. And then maybe you can actually think about this logo before you throw it out there.
Think about it for another 2 years.
Yes, you need to go to your room and think about this, sir.
Bartimus Prime has some third kit ideas.
Okay.
His first one, the 96 Olympics green and gold, like the volunteer outfits.
Ooh. Don't do the volunteer outfits because they
but like the trim on the golf shirt that had the green and gold.
I know. Don't recreate that because no. But green and gold, to hearken back to it, the Portland Timbers might be upset with that.
Yeah.
But if you can tie back into the 96 Olympics, that's a fun one to play back off of. I like it.
His second one, black and gold with more gold elements than LAFC.
It'd be another one where you'd have another team being like, hey, that's our turf. That one would be harder to pull off. Unless you're going to do like black and gold stripes. Unless you're just going to do a third kit that is stripes, the same stripe design that you have on the first, but a completely different color combination. Maybe. That one would be harder. I think green and gold would be easier to execute.
Third one, an actual peach shirt like Manchester United 2018.
Yes. That would be the one that I think could work. It wouldn't be going out on a limb because you've already done a King Peach, but yes, you could easily do something peach related and be good to go.
And then gradient red to black or gold to white.
You have to go gold to white because I think the red one, and I'm not a giant fan of the gradient kits. Sometimes they come out well, but a lot of times they feel really forced. The red one, you have to make it different, or ideally you make it very different than your primary or your secondary kit. Gold to white or gold to black? Gold to white would probably be easier to execute, but again, you get then into the Adidas discussions about making gold as a big predominant feature work. I don't know. That one would be harder.
We have other questions on the board this morning with Thursday thoughts. Katie Weaver has had a couple of conversations with you this morning, but she asked, why did U.S. Soccer release their new kits the same day as MLS? It kind of got buried.
Yeah, it did get buried just a little bit. It was like, oh, here's the new U.S. kits. Oh, MLS has got a big thing tonight. That's probably bad planning on the U.S. Soccer side. The U.S. Soccer kits, I like the white one. I think it looks good. The old school Nike logo is kind of cool. I'm down with that. The blue one, I just don't get it. I don't like it. It's supposed to be states, I guess. That was the explanation of the outlines that nobody exactly knows what they are.
Okay.
Trying too hard is what it feels like. The white one feels like it's a classic design. It's a good one. I'm completely down with it. I do like the socks that they did with both. Those work too. The blue one I don't like at all. I don't think it works. Maybe it'll look better in action. I don't know. I'll hold out hope.
Also with Katie this morning, her last question was an Atlanta United question. With Joseph seemingly back in Vino Tinto mix, how will the summer look with potentially some big absences, Barco, Miles, Lennon, Joseph, Emas? # Thursday Thoughts.
Well, I mean, the Copa America schedule and the Olympic schedule are very different. So that's one element where it doesn't look like you'd be missing all of them at the same time. I'm trying to get the Olympic one right now for you. The Olympics start July 22nd, run through August 8th. The soccer occasionally will start a day early, but the final will be around the 7th or 8th of August. Copa America runs June 12 to July 12. So it could be a rolling gap of players being gone. Now, as Gwen's doing the scheduling as well, and she's checking.
Gwen's fired up about international play.
No, just making sure that we cover all of it. So Atlanta United plays May 30th, and then they have 2 weeks off, and they play June 13th. But they play June 13, June 17, June 20, June 27, July 1, July 4, July 8. That's 7 games during the run of Copa America. Now, Venezuela's not a favorite to get to the final, but could Joseph miss a good number of games during the tournament? Yes, he could. Depends on how well Venezuela does. And this is a Venezuelan team that is on the rise, but can they get to a semifinal? Can they get to a final? It's probably not likely. I don't think they're among the best 4 in South America just yet, but that's where they're trying to get to. They're trying to get into that 4-5 spot. So I think it's likely, and let's see the schedule for Venezuela as we scroll down, because the Copa America is weird this year anyway, with 2 groups of 6 and a South and a North zone. Venezuela starts their tournament on June 14th, and their final group stage game is July 1. So that would take you out of Houston, in NYC, home against Philly, in Columbus, and then July 1 is home to Montreal. That's the group stage. Then, and this is where the Copa America is all about those Benjamins, 12 teams come down to 8. So I think it's fairly likely that Venezuela can get out of the group. 4 of 6 from the group are going. So you're playing 5 games to eliminate 2 teams. Cash those checks. Then your first game would be either July 4 or 5. So that would take you out of July 4 home against DC. I think it would probably, even if you lose there, which is where you get past that, you're pushing into territory Venezuela really doesn't get to. You're probably ruled out for the New England match as well. But you should be back for the home match with Seattle on July 12. So, again, that could be 7 games for Joseph being absent. Now, the Olympic schedule is a little more compressed, and you've got guys like Miles Robinson, Ezequiel Barco, Brooks Lennon, a very outside chance of George Bello being in that mix. Emerson Hyndman could be in that mix. So, potentially 5 guys. I don't think anybody else would squeeze into discussion for an Olympic berth, but July 22 to August 8, you're probably ruled out of the Galaxy game on July 18, Miami on July 23, New York City on August 1, and if you don't go all the way to the end of the tournament, you'd be back for Minnesota on August 9. If you got to the end, and I think Argentina would have a consideration for that, you could be out of that game too. So you could be missing 4 games. So the Olympics guys, 4 games looks like the max. 3 is comfortable for some. For Copa America, it's a much longer absence. So what you're looking at, and it's part of the deal. MLS plays through these tournaments, and unless you wanted to start the season earlier, start the season at the beginning of February and play a bunch of games in warm weather places or places with roofs, and then have a even weirder schedule in that regard to take off a month. And you couldn't hit both tournaments to take off a month. You'd have to pick one, and you would probably pick the one that most leagues are picking, which is the Copa America and the Euros, which will be going on around the same time. If you're not going to do it, you're going to be missing players. And there's going to be other teams that could be missing more players than just Joseph, but Joseph is a huge player to be missing.
Jacob Inman, along those same lines, had the same question, but he wanted to know who steps up in their absence for Atlanta United.
Well, you've got a couple different solutions for Atlanta with Joseph away. You have Adam John now, and he's a very different kind of number 9. Can work. You'd have to see it because it would change the way you play a little bit. But could it work for a short period of time? Yeah, he had a great season in USL Championship last year. He's got to be able to do some of that at the MLS level, but you're also not asking him to be a world beater. You're asking him to be part of the group and help the group be effective. You're going to be asking Piatti Martinez, who wants to be part of the Argentina squad for that too. If he hits the ground running early, he could get a call up. But let's say he doesn't. Let's say Ezequiel Barco could hit the ground running and get that call up. That's a longer shot because he hasn't debuted for the senior national team yet. I don't think it's that far off. Maybe not this tournament. Maybe down the road. But you're asking those two guys to step up. Now, the other thing you could do at times, because we saw it against Orlando in the Open Cup last year, Barco and Piatti started up top together. And it was really interesting because both of them dropped deep a lot. That created space for Eric Remedi to drive forward, for other midfielders to step up higher. It created opportunities for other players. But it was a really unique way of solving that problem. I think you could see that some during that gap if those players are available. It's not truly a false nine because you can't really do a double false nine, but it has the same effect in some ways when they both drop in deep to combine, and it just can completely pull a defense apart because they don't know what to do. The center backs don't want to chase those guys into the midfield because then there's no back line, and it creates the opportunity for people to run in. So it can be really difficult, and if you work towards it, that would be a lot of... It would give us a lot to talk about, I can tell you that.
Will Palmer had a question this morning. He says, a Ballon d'Or winner will one day come out of MLS. How far off do you guys think that will be?
Sadly, I think it's a long ways off from a player winning it in MLS, and that's because of perception. MLS has a lot of growing to get there too, but I think even when it's at that level, there's still going to be a perception that, no, that's not possible. A player developed in MLS who goes elsewhere and wins it, that's much sooner. Could it happen in the next 20 years? Potentially. It might not be American, but it's definitely a potential thing that could happen as you're seeing more young South American players, instead of going straight to Europe, they're coming here and then going. I think you'll see a player who goes from MLS to a European club win the Ballon d'Or in the next 20 years. That's my hot take of the day.
Rapid fire, final 10 minutes.
Yep.
El Mataflow. I read an article on De Boer's tactics at Ajax, and I have to say there are a lot of similarities between that team and the overall style in Atlanta United's mid to late season form last year and what we've seen in preseason. I'm here for it! ! Hashtag Thursday Thoughts.
Mm-hmm. This is happening. It's fast, it's fluid, it's a lot of interchange. It's really interesting. I think there are some differences because of the personalities of the players. So it's kind of fascinating because, I mean, that style of play, the total football, and take elements of what Guardiola's teams have done and other teams that are similar to that, they all have differences. And usually the differences revolve around the way the players interpret the system. You know, Joseph Martinez is a unique kind of forward. You don't want to make him try to be like Robin Van Persie. You want him to be Joseph because that's how he's effective. So how does that tweak it? How does that change it? Pep had to find a different way to do it when he went to Bayern because two reasons. You didn't have Lionel Messi to be Superman because he is, and you had wingers who were great dribbling, and you didn't want to take that away from Franck Ribéry and Arjen Robben. And you had a team that was very comfortable playing direct, playing fast, and not playing, not to give the ball away, but to play over the top and create those 1v1s out wide as opposed to overplaying you in the middle like the Barcelona teams would do with Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, and Messi dropping in to help. So you reinterpreted it based off the players you had. And I think that's what one reason it took De Boer a little bit of time was he was learning what he had. He was seeing what he had. He was seeing it day in, day out on the training ground, the little bits of training they could do, but also seeing them play. And he started to figure out, okay, we can work towards this. And now this year, you've got this preseason to really work towards it. And I think you'll see a team that looks closer to that, but in an Atlanta interpretation of it.
Hachiko Martinez, did I hear correctly? Yesterday on the show,
Dog, who is tweeting at us, by the way, for sure.
Yes. Did I hear correctly yesterday on the show that CONCACAF Champions League will be broadcast on FS1 and FS2? I need a way to keep an eye on Joseph while he's away from home. Dog emoji.
Well, that's good that Hachiko can control the TV. I like it. We don't know for sure that it's on FS1, FS2, but it's in the Fox portfolio of channels. So I would assume that the MLS games will be on FS1 or FS2, and probably the big ones on FS1 where there's not a college basketball conflict. Some of the other games in the tournament might be on Fox Sports Plus, but they will also be on 2Day NA. So you'll have lots of ways to watch. But yes, in English, FS1, FS2, and I would expect the Atlanta games to be FS1 if at all possible, because I think they'll draw big ratings.
Lewis Martin, hashtag Thursday Thoughts. The New York clubs have been really good on the pitch. Imagine if the ownership was not part of a global soccer brand, but local ownership with Jay-Z, A-Rod, or whomever to create an LAFC-like ownership group.
Yeah, it would help. It would definitely help. I don't know if being part of the global conglomerate's necessarily the issue, because you've seen some of those teams do really well with the way they brand it. I don't know if I'd even give them that out. I mean, New York City, to me, the issue is not being part of City Football Group. The issue is the stadium. And when they get a new stadium, I think they'll be fine. And all the chatter is pointing in that direction, that progress is being made and things are good there. So we'll believe it when we see it, but it feels like that's happening. Red Bulls, I think it's poor marketing. I think it's poor branding. I think it's just a very bad way of trying to get people to be excited about that team. And it has nothing to do with Red Bull Global. It's all about they haven't connected with their community. They have at Leipzig. They have at Salzburg. I don't know how the Brazilian variants are drawing, but in New York, well, one, they're not doing anything with New Jersey, which is where they're actually based.
Yep. A pity the fool has come back in.
I was trying to set you up for what somebody else said.
Oh, the Tootle Rockman thread?
Yes.
Read the Tootle Rockman thread. It's very well thought out and focusing on New Jersey, a lot like what we talked about here on the show. But go and read the Tootle Rockman thread. I think it's 13 separate sections, but it's a good read, and he's got a good breakdown of what could be one idea of getting folks in the seats in Harrison, New Jersey.
Yeah, and shout out, I think it was Waffle who tagged me on that. I'd seen it before, but said that it echoed a lot of the things we've been saying on the show here.
A pity the fool has come back in this morning. Any other CBA updates? Tomorrow's deadline day, in it?
Yeah, I mean, Sports Illustrated has said it's pretty much done. Grant Wall reported that yesterday. If it gets extended again, it gets extended again, but it's pretty much done. So nobody's walking off the practice field. Nobody's walking away from teams. The game on Saturday will be played with Atlanta and Birmingham. I think there's been a massive preemptive freak out for no reason about these things, because everything, honestly, even going back into last season, has been that the players have said, yes, we will strike if we have to, but it was kind of obvious that they didn't want to. And the owners aren't going to benefit from playing hardball in that way. So even the issues are not really ones that can't get worked out. It's finding the compromise. It's moving forward. And from Grant Wall's reporting yesterday, it's right there. They should get it done maybe today, maybe tomorrow. If not, it'll be very, very soon, and you're not going to have any stoppages.
Ricky Ricardo, so can we talk about the amazing Nigeria and South Korea kits that came out yesterday? They both kind of waxed the USA kits, although I am a fan of the white ones, still trying to figure out the Navy ones.
I like the white one. The white US kit is very good. The Nigerian ones, let's start with those. Nike's done better. And I'll be the one to say that I think they're overrated. I like the gray one more than I like the other one. I think the white one's just got too many different things going, and I know a lot of people really like it. I'll be the pooper of the party on that one. Okay, I like the Korean ones better. I like the Korean ones better than than the Nigerian ones, and that's not where I usually go with it because I've liked what they've done with the Nigerian kits in general. From Nike. I think they've been really creative. Even Adidas, going back to the 94 World Cup, was really creative with the Nigerian kits. The last round of Nigerian kits was a whole lot better than this round. Not even close to me. The Korean kits are better. And I'm usually not a fan of the way that they did these with a lot of stuff happening, but they did it in a really good way. The red with white, and there's a pattern on it that it's more white at the top and it's red solid at the bottom. That really works in the way they did it. And the kind of tiger stripe. Yeah. It's great. They did it in a really good way. The Korean kits are better than the Nigerian kits at me.
Anthony Short, and yes, Anthony's Thursday Thought wanted to know if you shared a birthday with Cristiano Ronaldo and Neymar. The answer is yes, and Hank Aaron.
And Carlos Tevez.
I didn't know Carlos Tevez was yesterday.
Yep.
Lewis Martin, Nashville has opened up sections 307 to 315. The away supporter sections are 303 to 305. Super cheap tickets in the 300 section, only $12 each. So that's your ticket update.
Go get your tickets. Go to Nashville. Get a hotel somewhere around Nashville because I think they've been going pretty fast. Or Airbnb could be your friend. Or if you're crazy and want to drive up and drive back, you could do that. It's doable. It's a haul, but it's doable. You might need to drink some Coca-Cola Energy on the way back. You know, might help. I'm just hoping to get a sponsorship. That's I'm just blatantly asking for a sponsorship at this point.
Percy wants to know where he can get the Panqueques drop.
That was self-made by me, actually. Maybe if Percy requests it, there could be things sent, possibly.
And then allegedly. He also says that he's not a part of any supporters group, so he's unbiased, but the third kit for Atlanta United should absolutely be a play on the Footy Mob Air Atlanta kit.
I love it. I mean, those came out great. I don't think you could use a defunct airline as the front of it, which would be awesome, but no.
Like a retro day or something, you have Air Atlanta on the front?
No, you can't do that because I don't know. Luckily for footy, I don't think anybody actually owns that trademark anymore, or they're not paying attention wherever it fell into. I like the look of them. I liked the red and black one better. I voted for that. So the supporters groups, we will be joined by the supporters groups at our event at Wild Heaven West End. Everybody,
excellent turn,
all the
sir.
four will be there. Terminus Legion, Resurgence, Footy Mob, Faction, all will be there. All will have membership tables. If you are like Percy and you're not a member of any of them, but you'd like to learn more, it's going to be your opportunity. You can come out. We're going to have a round table with them as well to talk about the upcoming season and some of the stuff that they're all working on. But if you're interested in all of those groups and kind of learning more, that's going to be a great opportunity to chat with some folks and see if there's a group that suits you. So that's February 15th at Wild Heaven West End. That event just keeps seeming to get bigger. It's going to be a lot of fun. From 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., we'll be on the air from noon to 2. Mike Conti's joining us. Kevin Egan wanted to join us. He will not be in town. He is doing some MLS that day. So he'll be out, I think, in Portland. But Mike will be joining us, and we're working on some other special guests and such, and we'll hope to see you there.
Yes, and that's a show because we're caught up. Swixter, though, says Nashville SC continues to drop the size of the price of their club seats. It was all 200s, then it was only one side. Now it's only a section. Get tickets now, people.
Get your tickets, and we'll see you in Nashville. And there will be things going on from an Atlanta perspective on Friday in Nashville, and stay tuned. So if you want to come up early, be there just after lunch. And maybe there'll be a place for you to come hang out and listen to some things. Just saying. Keep atting me. The Korean kits are better than the Nigerian kits. Go ahead. Ricky Ricardo, I see you. Nick Alifi, I see you. It's all good. It's all good.
I like the tiger stripe.
Facilities for that, big man.
Nah.
Wow.
You're all incorrect. It's okay.
Wow.
I will take that.
I like the tiger stripe. I like the red gradient changing from the red and white to the solid red. Although I still have a place in my heart for Nigeria. I may end up just getting both and be bankrupt.
Yeah, that's not me. The Korean kits are better.
You just made the list.
That's fine.
That's
That's fine, Chris Jericho. I made the list. I'll write my own list. And I'll be writing a list at training here in a little bit because we're going to be talking to Atlanta United 2 folks. We're going to be talking, hopefully, to some Atlanta United folks as well. And that's why we're ending the show 30 minutes early. Thanks, y'all, for being part of it. Thanks for tweeting at us. This became an extended soccer AMA, which was a lot of fun. So we'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m., normal show. You'll get a full 2 hours. If crazy things happen, maybe you'll get some bonus extra time. We will see what happens, but we will talk to you then. Mucha plata, y'all.
Mucha plata.